Now it's time for today's perspective, and we're going to meet a photographer today whose pictures are like a visual diary, if you like, of the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria and the consequences of it on daily life for ordinary citizens. Now, Assad's fall in December of 2024, marking, well, an historic turning point, bringing to an end over half a century of Assad family rule. One man who knows the situation in the country extremely well is my guest today. Salwan Georges travelled to Syria in 2024 and in 2025, chronicling then, well, the early days of the forever changed country. Salwan, a photojournalist at the Washington Post. His work is also currently on display at the Visa pour l'Image Photojournalism Festival, which is currently being held in Perpignan in the south of France, and he joins us now from there. So thanks very much for being with us on the programme. Good to have you with us. First of all, then tell us in your words about your photos and the first trip, first of all, that you made to Syria to take them.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yes, I was waiting at the border of Syria for a few days as we didn't know how far this liberation is gonna go. And then we waited and waited, and then Damascus got liberated, and then a small group of journalists and myself, we finally entered through the north and really got to see the country as it got how it got liberated and go down the highway M5 where a lot of the fighting took place. And we got to see a little different scene than what most people saw in Damascus, which was mainly celebration. We saw the fighting. We saw many of the villages that were front lines for all these years during the war, the civil war that happened there.
And then you went back again, didn't you, to get more pictures too?
Oh yeah, I've been there many times. So since the fall of the Assad, I think I've made over 6 trips. As the situation in country changes, the situation all across, more cities get liberated, more cities had fightings, and it's fascinating how fast things are happening there.
I mean, it's incredible looking at some of these pictures. I mean, they really do show, don't they, the state of the country after the fall. And what kind of sense did you get, if you like, from the population there? What kind of ideas and thoughts and hopes did you get from people?
Yeah, I mean, this is a country that was under the rule of the Assad regime for over 50 years, and what the Assad regime did to this communities is unbelievable. Many communities were chemical weapons were thrown at them, barrels of bombs. They kind of almost lost hope. So now, hope is a new thing for them as they slowly grow, trying to be able to even look in the camera, because back in the day, you can't even photograph what was happening. And it was extremely hard for us journalists to see what was inside Syria. And some journalists went in there and, lost their life or were never found. So there is a lot of hope. There's a lot of things are happening there, but there's issues. They have to figure it out, and hopefully they can get united and be able to start really their new country.
Let's talk a bit about yourself and why you wanted to do this in the first place. I mean, you were born in Baghdad, you moved to Syria, so you grew up a lot of your early life in Syria at the age of 8, and you lived in a monastery, I gather, outside Damascus. I mean, what was that like at the time?
Oh, I mean, that was my early childhood, and Syria is like a second home for me that offered me a safe haven after we left Iraq before moving to the United States. So going back there was very special, especially Damascus. When I went back, I was able to find the street I grew up on for a few months, and then all the places where I had a lot of memories with my family, and especially the monastery. I was able to go back there. It's just outside of Sednaya, and hear many of the stories that, because during the civil war and after that, there's a lot of fighting, including ISIS, where they got closer to that area. I don't know if the famous story of kidnapping of the nuns. And all my life growing up there, I remember as sitting on a bus as a child, I would stop at this stop and see people crying as they get in, as they get out, and never realizing that was Sednaya jail. Now it's the famous one of the worst jails where the regime made people disappear. I mean, we have to remember the regime made a lot of people disappear, over 100,000 people, and that's the stories as I go through Damascus all across the country and see people, still searching for any hope and still searching to find their loved ones that the regime just brutally arrested, tortured. I mean, no one was able to really be free from that brutal regime.
Yeah, as I said, looking at your photos as you're talking, it brings a lump to your throat. I mean, they're very emotional pictures, aren't they? I mean, what are you looking for personally when you take your pictures?
I mean, for my job and many of my colleagues, is just to show the truth and to show what was happening, what happened. I mean, there's so much happened in Syria that many of us have not been able to access and see. So we've been working on many investigative stories about, the people that were disappeared. And the one thing that the regime did that was able to stay in power is to make people turn on each other. We worked on a story about this one neighborhood. It's called Tadamun, and the whole neighborhood is complete destruction. And a lot of the people who live there, the regime made them informants, and it made them turn on each other. We met this family that their baker informed on us, and they spent the brother and the brother-in-law spent 8 years in the Sednaya jail. And when they come out, the baker's still here, his family's still here, and just that conflict that even your neighbor, some of them, their family member was informed on them. And, I was surprised that they don't really want to go and fight the baker or like do any harm to it, because they just want to live, and that's what the Syrian regime took away from them, the ability to just live. Because Syrian people, I think they can forgive each other because now they have a bigger task, which is to create the new country, to be able to be free.
And finally, it's far from your first project, isn't it? I mean, you're best known, if you like, for winning a Pulitzer Prize in 2020. That was to do with climate change. Yeah.
I mean, Syria needs a lot of attention for climate, as well as many of the foundation, many of the, things that definitely needs, people to look at. I mean, I couldn't believe the one thing when I got to Syria. It's like some of the things are still stand still since when I was there in the late 90s. And you don't see that in many places. But the climate change is a very important topic to me, but also like all the other works, as a staff, as a photo with the Washington Post, you have to kind of be able to do everything. And from the Ukraine war, from doing climate change, from Syria now, and the next story. So, that's our job.
Great to talk to you on the programme today. Thank you very much, Salwan Georges. His work on display at the Visa Port Limage Photojournalism Festival, which is currently being held in Perpignan in the south of France. Once again, thanks very much for being with us on the programme.